The final signature on the paper didn't feel like closing a sale. It felt like burying my mother all over again. I stood on the porch of my childhood home, the white paint peeling near the welcome mat, just as it had for 20 years. The realtor, a young man in a suit too tight for him, gave me a sad, professional smile. "It's all done, Ilara. The funds will be transferred by morning." I just nodded. I couldn't find my voice. The money, that's what it had been reduced to. The scent of my mother's lavender bushes, the scratch on the third stair where I fell with my roller skates, the faint, sweet smell of old books and cinnamon that clung to the wallpaper, it was all just the funds now. My husband, Marcus, put his arm around my shoulder. His hand was warm, heavy, reassuring. "You did the right thing, honey," he whispered. His voice was that deep, practical rumble I had relied on for 27 years. "She wouldn't want you burdened with this place. It's an anchor, Ilara. Now, we can finally invest in our future." I leaned into him, letting his confidence hold me up. I was so tired. The grief of losing Mama 6 months prior was a heavy, wet blanket I couldn't seem to shake off. Marcus had handled everything. The funeral, the estate, the endless, suffocating paperwork. He was my rock. He always had been. When he first brought up selling the house, I had recoiled. "Sell it. Marcus, I can't. It's Mama." We were in our own kitchen, the smell of his strong, dark roast coffee filling the air. He sat across from me, his hands wrapped around his favorite mug, the one I'd bought him in '98. He looked at me with that patient, steady gaze. "Ilara, listen to me," he said, his voice gentle. "It's 2 towns over. The property taxes are high. The roof needs work. It's just sitting there, collecting dust and costing us money. Your mother's memory isn't in those floorboards. It's here." He tapped his heart. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him that her memory was in those floorboards. It was in the pantry that still held a single, forgotten jar of her spiced peaches. It was in the worn, floral armchair where she taught me to read. But I was exhausted. And he was right, wasn't he? He was the practical one. He handled our finances, our investments, our retirement. I was the one who handled the heart of our home, the meals, our son's school projects, the birthdays, the healing of scraped knees. We were a team. He was the head, and I was the heart. "What would we even do with the money?" I asked, my voice small. His eyes lit up then. Not with greed, or at least, I didn't see it as greed. I saw it as excitement. Passion. "Ilara, it's a windfall," he said, leaning forward. "We put it in a high-yield fund. Something secure. We let it work for us. We could retire early. We could travel. Remember that cruise to Alaska we talked about? This is how we do it. We use this gift, to build our dream." He painted a beautiful picture. A picture of us, free from worry, sitting on a balcony watching glacier pass by. A picture where the ache in my chest was finally gone. It took him 3 months to convince me. 3 months of gentle reminders, of pulling up spreadsheets, of talking about diversifying our portfolio and not letting an asset depreciate. My best friend, Sonia, had been skeptical. We were having our weekly coffee, the cheap diner brew tasting bitter on my tongue. "You're sure about this, Ilara?" she asked, stirring her cup. "Once it's gone, it's gone. That's your inheritance. Your safety net." "It's our safety net," I corrected her, maybe a little too sharply. "Marcus knows what he's doing. It's foolish to let it rot. It's just bricks and mortar, Sonia." Even as I said the words, they tasted like a lie. But I signed the papers. I trusted him. I trusted the life we had built. We had a good life. Or so I believed. We lived in a modest, comfortable 3-bedroom in a quiet suburb. Our son, Ben, was grown and gone, making his own way as a graphic designer in the city. It was just me and Marcus. The comfortable silence, the shared jokes, the rhythm of a long marriage. He worked in finance, for a small but respectable firm downtown. He often worked late. Closing a big quarter, he'd say, kissing my forehead as he rushed out the door. Or, this new client is demanding, but the commission will be worth it. I never questioned it. He was a good provider. He was a stable, reliable man. The day the sale closed, the money appeared in our joint savings account. It was a shocking number. $412,000. More money than I had ever seen in one place. It felt like blood money. That night, Marcus was jubilant. He opened a bottle of wine, the expensive kind we saved for anniversaries. To us, Ilara, he toasted, his eyes shining. And to your mother. She gave us a new start. I tried to smile, but my heart felt heavy. The very next day, the money was gone. I had logged into the bank account to pay the electric bill, and the balance was back to its normal, unimpressive number. I felt a cold jolt of panic. Marcus, I called out. He was in his home office, the door slightly ajar. Marcus, the money, it's gone. From the account. Was it a mistake? Were we hacked? He came out, holding a sheaf of papers, a look of calm amusement on his face. Breathe, honey. Relax. I told you, I moved it. Moved it? Where? It's all gone. To the new investment fund, he said, as if it were obvious. I got us a premium rate, but I had to lock it in this morning. It's all taken care of. It's safe, Ilara. Safer than sitting in a savings account. All of it. You moved all of it. That's how you make money, love, he said, patting my arm. You have to be decisive. It's already working for us. Now, stop worrying. Let me handle the finances. You just think about what color swimsuit you're going to buy for Alaska. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Of course. He was right. He was the expert. I was just being emotional. I was letting the grief cloud my judgment. Okay, I said, forcing a smile. Okay. You're right. I'm always right about money, he grinned, kissing me. Now, I've got a lot of work to do. This new fund is keeping me busy. Might be a few late nights this week. Okay, honey. Do you want me to save you dinner? Don't wait up, he said, already walking back to his office. I'll grab something. And just like that, my mother's house, my entire inheritance, vanished into a fund I'd never heard of, with a password I didn't have. The weeks that followed the sale settled into a strange, hollow routine. The ache of my mother's absence was a constant, low hum in the background of my days. I tried to fill the silence. I threw myself into my volunteer work at the local library, the scent of old paper and floor wax a small comfort. I repotted all my houseplants and started a new, ambitious quilt, the tiny, precise stitches away to focus my restless energy. Marcus, however, seemed to throw himself into his work with a ferocity I hadn't seen in years. The late nights he had warned me about became the new normal. It started slowly. First, it was just Tuesdays and Thursdays. This new fund is a beast, Ilara, he'd say, loosening his tie as he walked in at 9:30, the smell of the city and cold night air clinging to his coat. I'd have his dinner waiting, kept warm in the oven. He'd eat quickly, his eyes already scanning a financial report he'd brought home. Then it became every weeknight. He'd text me around 5. Don't wait up, honey. Grabbing a bite with the team. I'd sit alone at our large dining table, a plate of food I'd cooked for two growing cold in front of me. The silence of the house was deafening. I missed Ben. I missed my mother. I missed Marcus. When he did come home, he was exhausted. He'd kiss my cheek, a quick, dry peck that barely registered, and head straight for the shower, as if to wash the long day off him. When he came to bed, he'd turn his back to me, the springs of the mattress groaning, and be asleep in minutes. I tried to tell myself it was normal. He was working hard for us. He was building that future he promised, the one with the Alaskan cruise. I was being selfish, lonely. You're working too hard, Marcus, I said one Saturday morning. It was the first time we'd had breakfast together in what felt like weeks. He was tapping away on his laptop, a spreadsheet full of numbers I didn't understand glowing on the screen. "It's what it takes, honey," he said, not looking up. "This fund, it's high stakes, high reward. I have to stay on top of it. It'll ease up soon. It's just. I miss you," I said, the words coming out softer than I intended. He finally looked up. He closed the laptop and covered my hand with his. His skin felt calloused. "I miss you, too," he said, and his voice was so sincere, it melted the knot of worry in my chest. "I promise, Ilara. It's all for us. In fact, that's what I wanted to talk to you about." He took a sip of his coffee. "There's a big conference. Upstate. In Willow Creek. It's for the investors in the new fund. It's a 3-day event. I have to go. It's the big one. This is where we secure the next 5 years of growth." "Oh," I said. "Willow Creek. That's nice. It's pretty up there. When?" "Next weekend. I'll leave Friday morning, be back Sunday night." "Okay," I said, trying to inject some enthusiasm into my voice. "Well, you go. You work your magic. I'll hold down the fort." "That's my girl," he smiled. He leaned over and gave me a real kiss, the kind I'd been missing. It tasted like coffee and reassurance. "It'll all be worth it. You'll see." The week before he left, I noticed the first thing that felt wrong. I was paying our credit card bill online. It was one of the few financial tasks I still managed. Marcus had always said I was too meticulous to give it up. I was scrolling through the itemized list, just checking for errors. Gas station. Supermarket. My library donation. And then, the Gilded Lily, $245.80. I frowned. The Gilded Lily. I'd never heard of it. I googled the name. It was a restaurant. A very, very expensive French restaurant. The kind with white tablecloths and tasting menus. But the part that made my stomach clench was the location. It wasn't downtown, near his office. It was in Ashwood, a wealthy suburb 30 miles in the opposite direction. The charge was from a Tuesday, 2 weeks prior. A night he'd told me he was stuck at the office with the whole team, eating stale pizza. I sat there, the cursor blinking on the screen. It must be a mistake. Maybe he'd taken a client there. Yes, that had to be it. A client. He'd just said stale pizza to be modest, to not make me feel bad that he was eating fancy food while I was having leftover chicken. I tried to shake it off. But the feeling, the cold, prickly feeling of doubt, it had already taken root. That night, when he came home, I tried to be casual. "Hey, honey. How was work?" "Long," he sighed, dropping his briefcase by the door. "Same old. Did you take any clients out recently?" I was just looking at the credit card. He froze. It was barely perceptible, just a stiffening of his shoulders. "A few, yeah. Why?" "Oh, just saw a charge for a place called the Gilded Lily. In Ashwood. Must have been some client, huh? That's a long drive." He turned to me, and his smile was a little too wide, a little too bright. "Ah, yes. Mr. Harrison. Demanding client. Insisted on that place. You know how it is. He thinks anywhere in the city is too loud. I think I got home around midnight that night. It was a brutal meeting." "Oh, right," I said. "Well, I hope he was worth the drive. He's the one who unlocked the premium tier in the fund, Ilara. He was worth the drive and the overpriced steak." He laughed. It sounded forced. But I accepted it. I had to. Because the alternative was something I wouldn't, look at. The Friday of his conference, I helped him pack. He was buzzing with energy, folding his best suits, picking out his power ties. "This is it, Ilara. I'll call you when I check in," he said, zipping his suitcase. "Be safe," I said, standing on the porch as he loaded his bag into the trunk. "Always," he said. He kissed me, long and deep this time, as if to erase the last few weeks of distance. I love you. Don't forget that. I love you, too. I watched him drive away, the car disappearing around the corner. The house was empty again. The silence was louder than ever. I spent Friday cleaning. I spent Saturday gardening, pulling weeds with a vengeance, my hands raw from the dirt. I was trying to keep the doubt at bay. But it was growing. That little, cold seed of it. He called Friday night, just as he promised. Hey, honey. Just got to the hotel. It's beautiful. Room is huge. The conference kicks off with a dinner tonight. I'll be tied up all day tomorrow, so don't worry if I don't text. I'll call you on the drive home Sunday. Okay, Marcus. Good luck. I love you. Love you, too. Bye. The call felt rehearsed. Quick. On Sunday morning, I was watering my new petunias when my son, Ben, called. Hey, Mom. How are you? How's Dad? Oh, I'm fine, sweetie. Your dad's at a big work conference up in Willow Creek. Should be home tonight. There was a pause on the line. Willow Creek? Ben asked. His voice was strange. Mom. Willow Creek is where Aunt Sarah lives. Why wouldn't he stay with her? My sister, Sarah, lived in a small cottage just outside of Willow Creek. I hadn't even thought of it. Oh, I said, my hand tightening on the phone. I don't know. I guess it's a work thing. They must have a block of rooms at the hotel, you know? It's probably easier. Yeah. Maybe, Ben said. He didn't sound convinced. Hey, listen, Mom. I saw something weird last week. I didn't want to say anything, but... What? What did you see? I was in Ashwood for a meeting with a new client. I thought I saw Dad. He was at a restaurant. Looked like he was with someone. I almost called out to him, but then he got in his car and drove off. I figured I was just seeing things. But you just said he was in Ashwood. My blood went cold. The Gilded Lily. Ben, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Who was he with? I don't know, Mom. I was too far away. It just looked. I don't know. It was probably just a client. Forget I said anything. I don't want to make you worry, but it was too late. The cold seed of doubt had just broken through the soil. I hung up the phone with Ben, my hand trembling so hard I almost dropped the receiver. The bright yellow watering can slipped from my other hand, thudding onto the grass and spilling a dark, muddy puddle onto my sneakers. I didn't even notice. Willow Creek. Ashwood. The Gilded Lily. The words spun around in my head, colliding like angry wasps in a jar. Ben's voice, so full of casual concern, had just torn a hole in the carefully patched-up reality I was living in. Why wouldn't he stay with Sarah? It wasn't just a casual oversight. My sister Sarah adored Marcus. She called him the brother she never had. Whenever he'd had to travel near her, even an hour out of his way, he always made a point to stop in, even if just for a cup of her terrible, instant coffee. It was a running joke between them. For him to be in the same town, for 3 whole days, and not even call her, it wasn't just rude. It was impossible. It was a lie. And if that was a lie, what else was? The stale pizza at the office. The demanding client Mr. Harrison. The late nights. The sudden, all-consuming fund that had swallowed my mother's legacy whole. I stumbled back inside, my feet wet with mud. I sat down at the kitchen table, the one Marcus and I had bought at an antique fair 20 years ago. The one where we'd signed birthday cards and paid bills and argued over wallpaper. The solid, steady center of my life. Right now, it felt like a raft in the middle of a dark, cold ocean. My heart was hammering. I was a 54-year-old woman, a mother, a wife of 27 years. I was not a hysterical teenager. I was not a paranoid woman. I was Ilara. I was sensible. But sensible Ilara couldn't explain why her husband, who was supposedly at a conference in Willow Creek, had been seen by their son eating dinner in Ashwood, 30 miles in the wrong direction, on a night he was supposed to be working late. I needed to know. I couldn't sit here, in this silent house, and wait for him to come home with his easy smile and his well-practiced lies. My hand, still shaking, reached for the phone again. I dialed a number I knew as well as my own. It rang twice. Ilara. What a surprise, honey. I was just thinking about you. I'm trying your apple cake recipe tonight. Sarah's voice was a cheerful, warm burst of sunshine. It made me feel sick. Hey, Sarah, I said. I tried to make my voice normal, but it came out thin, reedy. Her cheer faded instantly. Ilara? What's wrong? You sound awful. Did something happen? No, I'm fine. I had a strange question. Anything, honey. You know that. I took a deep breath. Is Marcus with you? A beat of silence. Marcus? No, why would he be? Isn't he at home? He told me he was at a big conference. In Willow Creek. All weekend. The silence on the other end of the line was no longer just a pause. It was a heavy, cold vacuum. A conference. Sarah said finally. Her voice was careful. Here. In Willow Creek. Yes. A 3-day event. 4 investors. He left Friday. Ilara, honey, Willow Creek is a tiny town. We have 1 motel and a bed and breakfast. We don't have conferences. The biggest event we've had all year was the Strawberry Festival. That was in June. The floor seemed to drop out from under me. I gripped the edge of the table, my knuckles turning white. He's not there, I whispered. It wasn't a question. No, honey, he's not, Sarah said, her voice now sharp with a protective anger I knew well. There is no conference. Ilara, where is he? I don't know, I said. The tears started then, hot and stinging. He said he was working late. All these nights. He took Mama's money. He said he was investing it. Ilara, listen to me. Breathe, Sarah commanded. You need to find out where he is. Do you have one of those tracking things? For his phone? What? No, I wouldn't even know how. The laptop. Does he have a laptop he shares with you? Or an iPad? Find my device. Ben showed me how to use it. My eyes flew to the study. To Marcus's sleek, silver laptop, sitting closed on his desk. He never used it. He always used the newer, faster one from his office. This one was for the house, he'd said. For me to check emails on. We shared the account. Yes, I said, standing up. My legs felt like wood. Yes, we have one. Go. Go to it now. Find my device. I'll stay on the line with you. We'll find that lying, we'll find him. I walked into his study. The room smelled like him, leather, old paper, and a faint, spicy scent from his aftershave. It felt like a betrayal just to be in there with this purpose. I opened the laptop. It hummed to life. I found the icon, the little green and blue circle. I clicked it. A map of the state appeared. And on it, a single, pulsing green dot. I see it, I whispered. Where is it? Sarah demanded. Is it in Willow Creek? No, I said. My voice was flat. All the tears, all the panic, had suddenly evaporated, replaced by a cold, sharp clarity. It's not in Willow Creek. It's not in Ashwood. I zoomed in on the map, my hand steady now. The dot was pulsing over a small, residential street. A town I'd never heard of. It's in a town called Pine View. About 2 hours south of here. Near the old mills. Pine View? Sarah said. What in God's name is in Pine View? The map was detailed. I zoomed in further, until I could see the street names. The dot wasn't on a highway. It wasn't at a hotel. It was sitting right on top of a house. 114, Hawthorne Drive. He's at a house, I said. The numbness was spreading, a blessing, protecting me. 114, Hawthorne Drive. What are you going to do? Sarah asked, her voice low. I looked at the map. I looked at the name of the street. Hawthorne. Like the writer. The man who wrote about the scarlet letter. The irony was so bitter, it almost made me laugh. I'm going to go see, I said. Ilara, no. Wait. Don't go alone. That's a bad idea. You don't know what you're walking into. Wait for Ben. Or I'll drive down. I can be there in 3 hours. No, I said, my voice firm. This is not for Ben to see. And I'm not waiting. He thinks I'm here, watering my plants. He thinks I'm waiting for him to come home tonight with his suitcase full of lies. I need to see. I need to see where my mother's house went. I closed the laptop. I have to go, Sarah. Ilara, be careful. Please. Call me. Call me the second whatever happens. I'm getting in my car anyway. I'll meet you. I'll meet you back at your house. I'll be there tonight. You will not be alone. Thank you, I whispered. We hung up. I stood in the silence of his study for a full minute. I looked at the photo on his desk. It was of me and him, 20 years ago, at the beach. We were laughing, our arms around each other, the sun in our eyes. We were so young. We were so happy. I picked up the frame, my thumb tracing the outline of his smiling face. Then I set it down, face first, on the desk. I grabbed my car keys, my purse. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't write a note. I walked out the front door, got into my 10-year-old sedan, and backed out of the driveway. I put 114, Hawthorne Drive, Pineview, into my phone's GPS. 2 hours and 12 minutes. The drive was a blur. I don't remember the music I played, or if I played any at all. I just remember the robotic voice of the GPS, calmly guiding me, turn by turn, to the end of my life as I knew it. The GPS voice was offensively cheerful. In 2 miles, turn right onto Miller's Road. I drove. I kept my hands at 10 and 2, just like my father taught me. I kept my eyes on the road. If I looked away, if I let my gaze drift to the passing trees or the high, thin clouds, I was afraid I would shatter. The familiar landscape of my life, the tidy suburbs, the strip malls I knew, the familiar curve of the highway had fallen away an hour ago. Now, I was in a place I didn't recognize. The towns got smaller, the houses more worn. Pineview was, as I'd suspected, an old mill town. The kind of place that had a single main street, a diner, a hardware store, and a lot of quiet, maple-lined side streets. It was normal. It was heartbreakingly, terrifyingly normal. With every mile, a new, sick realization bloomed in my stomach. All those late nights. He wasn't driving home from his office downtown. He was driving here. An hour and a half, maybe more, each way. The exhaustion I had mistaken for overwork, it was the exhaustion of living 2 separate, parallel lives. The stale pizza with the team. The demanding client Mr. Harrison. All of it was a lie to cover this. And the money. My God, the money. $412,000. The high-yield fund I couldn't access. The premium rate he had to lock in. I pictured the money, not as a number on a screen, but as my mother's hands, flour-dusted, rolling out pie crust in her kitchen. I pictured it as the attic, smelling of cedar and old memories. I pictured it as the front porch swing where she and I had snapped green beans for 20 summers. He hadn't invested it. He had stolen it. He had stolen my mother's life's work. Turn left onto Hawthorne Drive, the GPS chirped. My heart, which had been a cold, dead stone in my chest, suddenly kicked, hard, like a terrified animal in a cage. My breath hitched. I made the turn. Hawthorne Drive was lovely. It was a street of new builds. Small, neat, craftsman-style homes, the kind that are popular with young families. Freshly sodded lawns, young trees tied to stakes. It was a street full of promise. My stomach churned. This wasn't some rented apartment. This was a place to put down roots. Your destination is on the right, the voice said. 114, Hawthorne Drive. I didn't pull into the driveway. I couldn't. I parked 3 houses down, on the other side of the street, partially hidden by a large, overgrown lilac bush. I turned off the engine. The sudden silence was absolute. All I could hear was the frantic, paper-thin beat of my own pulse in my ears. And I looked. 114, Hawthorne Drive was a pretty, pale blue house. It had a white picket fence, still shiny and new. There were bright yellow pansies planted in a window box. On the porch, a small, red tricycle was parked next to the door. I sat there, frozen, for what felt like an eternity. It's a mistake. It's a client's house. His advising them. He's a financial planner. This is what he does. He helps people buy homes. I repeated it, a desperate mantra in my head. It's a mistake. It's a mistake. Then the front door opened. My breath stopped. It was Marcus. He wasn't wearing his suit. He wasn't the man who had kissed me goodbye on Friday, buzzing with conference energy. This Marcus was wearing faded blue jeans and a soft, green t-shirt. He was holding a spatula. He looked relaxed. He looked young. He looked happy. He turned and spoke to someone still inside the house. And then he laughed. It wasn't his dry, tired, end-of-day chuckle. It was a full, deep laugh. The one I hadn't heard in years. The one I had fallen in love with. A woman appeared in the doorway. She was younger than me. Maybe in her late 30s. Pretty, with dark, wavy hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing a yellow sundress. She leaned against the doorframe, smiling at him. He said something, and she laughed, too. He walked back to her, kissed her. It wasn't the dry, dutiful peck he gave me. It was a real kiss. Long, and lazy, and full of an intimacy that struck me like a physical blow. I felt the air leave my lungs. I was going to be sick, right here in my car. And then, the final, killing blow. A small boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, came running out from the side of the house, holding a baseball glove. He had Marcus's eyes. He had Marcus's dark, curly hair. Dad, are we gonna play catch before the burgers are done? Marcus turned to him, and the smile on his face, it was pure, uncomplicated joy. You bet, buddy, he said. He ruffled the boy's hair. Go get your ball. Go on, Leo, the woman said, her voice soft. Let your dad get the grill started. Leo. His name was Leo. I watched as Marcus, my husband of 27 years, walked over to a brand new, stainless steel grill on the patio. I watched him flip open the lid, the spatula in his hand. The woman, his wife, walked over and wrapped her arms around his waist from behind, resting her chin on his shoulder. He leaned his head back against hers. They stood there, a perfect, happy family, in their perfect, new home. And I knew, with a certainty that was as cold and sharp as a shard of glass in my heart. My mother's lavender bushes. My father's scratched workbench in the garage. The pantry that smelled of cinnamon. It was all right here. He had taken the sum total of my childhood, my entire inheritance, and he had liquefied it. He had turned my memories into siding, and drywall, and a stainless steel grill. He had used the bricks of my past to build a foundation for his future. A future that did not include me. The conference in Willow Creek. The fund. The late nights. The decade of lies. The little boy, Leo, he was 9. Maybe 10. This had been going on for a decade. I felt a sound rise in my throat, a terrible, strangled sob. I clapped my hand over my mouth, pressing my knuckles hard against my teeth. I couldn't breathe. The world was tilting, the pretty blue house blurring and swimming in my vision. I had to get out of there. My hands, which had been so steady on the drive, were shaking violently now. I fumbled with the keys, my fingers feeling thick and numb. I jammed the key into the ignition. The engine roared to life, loud in the quiet, sleepy street. I saw Marcus's head snap up. He and the woman both turned, looking toward my car. He squinted, his hand shielding his eyes from the setting sun. He couldn't see me, not through the glare, not from this distance. He just saw a car, starting. I slammed the car into reverse. I backed up too fast, the tires squealing in protest. I cranked the wheel, my arms aching with the force, and threw the car into drive. I didn't look back. I sped down Hawthorne Drive, my breath coming in ragged, painful gasps. I ran a stop sign at the end of the street. I didn't care. I drove until I was back on the main road, the one that led to the highway. I drove until the pretty, maple-lined streets were gone. I didn't pull over. I didn't stop. I just drove. And the whole way home, the only sound in the car was the GPS, angrily, politely, recalculating. The drive home was a fugue state. I don't remember the turns, only the colors. Red taillights blurring into streaks. Green signs flashing by, names of towns I didn't see. The sun was setting, and it painted the entire sky in a violent, bruised purple and orange, a terrible mockery of the peaceful Sunday evening it was supposed to be. My mind kept playing the scene on a loop, a cruel, internal movie. The blue house. The white fence. The red tricycle. The woman in the yellow dress. The boy with Marcus's eyes. Dad, are we gonna play catch? A 10-year-old boy. My hands clenched the steering wheel, my knuckles aching. A 10-year-old boy. That meant while I was helping Ben pack for college, sending my only son off into the world with a brave face and a breaking heart. Marcus was painting a nursery. While I was nursing my mother through her first bout of pneumonia, holding a cool cloth to her head, he was teaching his other son to ride that tricycle. While he was sitting across from me in our kitchen, convincing me to sell my mother's legacy, talking about our future and Alaskan cruises, he was already standing on the porch of their future. He wasn't building a new life, he was paying for the one he'd already had for a decade. The lies. The sheer, suffocating, architectural scale of the lies. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was a parallel existence. He had a whole other life, running in tandem with mine. I wasn't his wife. I was his roommate. I was his accountant. I was the fool he came home to when he was tired of playing house with his real family. When my car finally turned onto my own street, I felt a wave of nausea so profound, I had to pull over, a block from my own home. I leaned my head against the steering wheel, the plastic cool against my burning forehead. I couldn't go in. That house, it wasn't my home. It was his base of operations. It was a lie, just like the blue one. The photos on the wall, the furniture we'd picked out, the garden I tended, it was all a stage. A set for the part of Alara's husband that he played. After several minutes, I took a ragged breath. I had to go in. My sister, Sarah, was on her way. I couldn't fall apart on the street. I pulled into the driveway. The house was dark. Quiet. Just as I'd left it. I fumbled with the key, my hand shaking so badly it took 3 tries to get it into the lock. The door swung open. The air inside was stale. It smelled like him. His aftershave, lingering in the hallway. The faint scent of the coffee he'd made Friday morning. I walked into the living room. On the mantel, a photo of me and Marcus on our 25th anniversary. We were smiling. He was holding my hand. I looked at the woman in the photo, and I didn't know her. She was a smiling, naive, trusting fool. I picked up the heavy, silver frame. I looked at his eyes, the eyes I thought I knew better than my own. They were lying, even in the picture. With a cry that was more of a gasp, I turned the frame and slammed it face down on the mantel, the glass shattering with a muffled crack. I went to the kitchen, seeking solid ground. I braced my hands on the sink, the same sink I'd stood at for 27 years, and I looked out at my dark, quiet garden. And that's when the numbness finally broke. The grief came. It was not a gentle weeping. It was a raw, primal, animal sound that tore out of my throat. It was the sound of my life being ripped in two. I wept for my mother. I wept for her house, for her memory that had been so desecrated. I wept for the 10-year-old boy who was a living, breathing symbol of my husband's betrayal. And I wept for myself. For the 54-year-old woman who had just realized her entire adult life, every anniversary, every I love you, every late night he'd worked, was a lie. I slid down the kitchen cabinets until I was sitting on the cold linoleum floor, my arms wrapped around my knees, and I sobbed until my chest ached and I couldn't draw a full breath. I don't know how long I sat there. The kitchen was pitch black, the only light a sliver of moon coming through the window. Then, I heard a car. Headlights swept across the kitchen wall. My body seized in panic. It's him. His home. His home early. His found out. He. The car door slammed. I heard footsteps, not his heavy, confident stride, but a fast, frantic clicking on the walkway. I heard a key in the lock, the spare I'd given Sarah years ago. The door flew open. Ilara? Ilara, where are you? In here, I croaked. Sarah rushed into the kitchen, fumbling for the light switch. The sudden, fluorescent glare made me wince. She saw me, crumpled on the floor, my face a wreck. Oh, honey, she breathed. She didn't ask what happened. She didn't need to. She was at my side in an instant, dropping to the floor and wrapping her arms around me. I clung to her, my sister, my anchor. I buried my face in her shoulder, and the dam broke all over again. It's true, I choked out. It's all true. I know, she said, her voice a low, furious rumble. I know, baby. I'm here. I've got you. She just held me. She held me as I shivered and wept. She didn't offer platitudes. She didn't say it will be okay. She just anchored me to the ground. After a long time, the sobs subsided into hiccuping breaths. Sarah stood up, her knees cracking. She pulled me to my feet, my legs shaking. Come on, she said, her voice firm. You're not sitting on the floor. Sit at the table. She guided me to a chair, then went straight to the coffee pot, her movements fast and angry. She was making coffee, strong and black. Tell me, she said, not looking at me. Tell me everything. I need to know it all. And so, I told her. The words came out, flat and dead, all the emotion wept out of me. It's a house, Sarah. A new house. Pale blue, with a picket fence. He bought them a brand new house. He bought it with Mama's money, Sarah said. It was a statement of fact, cold as steel. He has a son, I whispered. My voice broke on the last word. He looks just like Marcus. He's maybe 9. Or 10. He called him Dad. Sarah stopped, the coffee pot in her hand. She closed her eyes. I could see the muscles in her jaw working. And her. Younger. Pretty. She kissed him. On the porch. Like they've been married forever. And he looked happy, Sarah. He looked so happy. He was grilling. The absurdity of it, the terrible domesticity, made a wild, hysterical laugh bubble up in my throat. I choked it back. Sarah slammed the coffee pot down. That filth, she hissed. That absolute, unholy filth. For 10 years, Ilara. He has been lying to your face, to our faces, for a decade. She poured 2 mugs of coffee. She pushed one in front of me. Drink this. I wrapped my cold hands around the mug. The heat was a small, sharp shock. He's coming home tonight, I whispered, the new, fresh wave of panic rising. He thinks I'm just here. Waiting. He'll walk in, and he'll kiss me. He'll tell me about the conference. No, Sarah said, her voice cutting through my panic like a diamond. No, he will not. She sat across from me, her eyes boring into mine. The grief was gone from her face, replaced by a cold, practical fury. It was the face I remembered from when a high school bully had broken my glasses. Sarah had handled it. "He's not coming home to his dutiful wife," she said. "He's not walking into this house and putting his feet up. That's over." "What do I do?" I asked. I was a child. I had no idea what to do. "First," she said, "you are not going to be here. You're packing a bag. You're coming home with me. Tonight. Right now." "But, my things. My house." "It's not your house right now, Elara. It's a crime scene. And you are not confronting him. Not like this. Not alone. He is a liar. A dangerous, decade-long liar. You don't know what he's capable of." She was right. I was terrified of him. "Okay," I nodded. "Okay. Second," she continued, "first thing tomorrow morning. 8 a.m. We are at the bank. You said the joint account is where the sale money landed, right?" "Yes, but he moved it. He said he moved it to a fund. We don't know that for a fact. He might have left something. Whatever is in there, we are taking it out. We are draining every single penny from every account with your name on it. We are protecting you." "Okay." The numbness was returning, but this time it was a shield. "Third," she said, "we are calling a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. We're calling Jerry Mathis. He's the biggest shark in the state. He's the one who handled Maria Henderson's divorce, the one where her husband tried to hide all his assets offshore. Jerry found them. He will tear Marcus apart." I just nodded, my hands clutching the warm mug. "He thinks you're stupid, Elara," Sarah said, her voice softening, but still full of steel. "He thinks you're the quiet, gentle wife who bakes bread and trusts him. He has taken your love, and your trust, and your mother's legacy, and he has used it as a down payment on another woman's happiness. He stole my life," I whispered. "No," Sarah said, reaching across the table and grabbing my hand. Her grip was iron. "He rented your life. And the lease is up. Now, go pack a bag. We're leaving. Let him come home to an empty, dark house. Let him be the one to feel that cold, sick panic. Let him wonder where you are." A new feeling was stirring in my chest, under the ice and the grief. It was small, but it was hot. It was anger. "Okay," I said, my voice steadier. I stood up. "Let's go." I packed in a daze. It was the most surreal 20 minutes of my life. I was in my own bedroom, the one I'd shared with Marcus for 27 years, but I felt like a thief. I was moving with a quiet, frantic energy, grabbing things without thinking. I packed my good black trousers. My sensible shoes. The toiletries I'd need. I took my mother's jewelry box, a small, cedar chest that held nothing of monetary value, just her simple silver locket and her mother's wedding ring. I walked past the shattered picture frame on the living room mantel. I looked at the glass, glittering like cruel diamonds on the dark wood. Sarah moved to clean it up. "Leave it," I said. My voice was hoarse. "I want him to see it." She nodded, a grim, tight smile on her face. I took one last look at the house. My home. It was no longer a place of comfort. It was, as Sarah said, a crime scene. Every pillow, every book, every lamp, seemed to be part of the lie, props in a play I hadn't known I was in. I walked out the front door and I did not look back. I got into the passenger seat of Sarah's car. It smelled like her, a mix of spearmint gum and that expensive hairspray she used. It was the most comforting, real thing I had experienced in 12 hours. I buckled my seatbelt, and it felt like I was strapping myself in for a rocket launch. Sarah backed out of the driveway, the tires crunching on the gravel, a sound as final as a door locking. We drove in silence for the first 20 minutes, the dark countryside flying past the windows. I was just breathing, in and out, focusing on the simple mechanics of it. Then, my purse, sitting on the floor by my feet, buzzed. I knew who it was. My blood went icy hot. "Don't," Sarah said, her eyes on the road. I didn't want to. But I had to. I had to know. I pulled out the phone. The screen glowed with a text from Marcus. On my way home, honey. Long weekend, but very successful. Can't wait to see you. Should be home in about an hour. Love you. The casual, breezy lie of it. The love you, it was so practiced. So effortless. I felt the bile rise in my throat again. He was on his way home, from his other home, from his other family. He was driving from the blue house, leaving the woman in the yellow dress, leaving the little boy with his eyes, and he was coming back to me, his Ilara. The dutiful, trusting wife. The one who held the checkbook. I didn't reply. I just stared at the message, the words very successful burning into my retinas. He was successful. He had successfully stolen my inheritance. He had successfully built a second life. He's on his way, I said, my voice empty. Let him come, Sarah said, her hands tight on the wheel. He's walking into a goddy *mend empty box. You're safe. You're with me. We got to her house just after midnight. It was a small, cozy cottage, filled with her bright, slightly chaotic art and stacks of books. It was a house with no secrets, only clutter. It was wonderful. You take the bed, she ordered. I'll take the couch. I didn't argue. I didn't have the energy. I crawled between the sheets, which smelled of lavender, and I stared at the ceiling. I didn't sleep. Not really. I just closed my eyes. And every time I did, I saw a blue house. I saw a red tricycle. When the first, watery grey light of morning crept through the blinds, I was already up. I was showered and dressed when Sarah came into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. I was wearing my good black trousers, a silk blouse, and my mother's silver locket. I looked like I was going to a funeral. In a way, I was. Coffee's on, I said. Sarah looked at me, a long, appraising look. How are you? I don't know, I said honestly. But I'm ready. What time does the bank open? 8:30, she said, a slow smile spreading across her face. We'll be there at 8:29. We were. I walked into that bank, the one I'd been going to for decades, and I felt like a different woman. I was no longer Ilara, the gentle volunteer. I was Ilara, the client. We sat down with a teller, a young woman named Brenda who had cooed over Ben's baby pictures years ago. Ilara, good morning, she smiled. What can we do for you? Brenda, good morning, I said. My voice was calm. Steady. It didn't even sound like mine. I need to make some changes. I would like to close all joint accounts I hold with my husband, Marcus. And I would like to move all funds into a new, individual account under my name only. Brenda's smile faltered. Oh. All of them? Is Marcus with you? No, I said, meeting her eyes. He is not. This is a private financial matter. Here is my driver's license. She looked flustered, glancing from me to Sarah. But I was a 54-year-old woman, a long-time customer. She couldn't very well say no. Of course, she said, turning to her computer. Let's see. We have the joint checking, and the joint savings. She typed. And she frowned. Well, the joint savings it's nearly empty, Ilara. There's only a few $100s in it. It looks like a very large transfer was made out, about 6 months ago. Yes, I said, my voice like ice. I'm aware. What about the checking account? She typed again. The checking, okay, that has a balance of $24,312. I felt Sarah's hand grip my arm. He'd been sloppy. It was our old household account. He must have been using it as a float, a place to hold money between his transactions, before moving it to, wherever. To her. To the house. He'd been siphoning it, but he'd left a balance. I will take all of it, I said. And I would like cashier's checks made for, no, just move it all. To the new account. Right now. And I want this joint account frozen. Ilara. I'll have to get my manager, Brenda said, her eyes wide. Then please, I said, get your manager. 20 minutes later, I walked out of that bank. I had a new, private bank account. I had $24,000 he didn't know I had taken. And, most importantly, I had a 9-inch stack of paper. Mrs. Thorne, the manager, a stern man named Mr. Harris, had said, "You asked for a full transaction history. This goes back 10 years. Is this?" "It's exactly what I asked for," I'd said. I had the receipts. 10 years of them. "Where to now?" I asked Sarah, getting into the car. The stack of papers was a heavy, satisfying weight on my lap. "Now," Sarah said, starting the engine. "Now, we go see the shark." Jerry Mathis's office was on the 20th floor of a glass and steel building downtown. The lobby was all marble and hushed, expensive silence. Jerry was, in a word, terrifying. He wore a suit that probably cost more than my car. He didn't smile. He just gestured for us to sit. "Mrs. Thorne," he said, his voice like gravel. "Your sister called. She gave me the broad strokes. Tell me the specifics. Do not emote. Just give me the facts. I'll handle the emotion." And so, for the second time, I told the story. But this time, it wasn't a tearful confession. It was a deposition. My husband, Marcus Thorne. We've been married 27 years. 6 months ago, my mother passed. She left me her home. He convinced me to sell it. The sale was for $412,000. He moved that money from our joint account into a fund I cannot access. Yesterday, I discovered he has a second family, a partner, and a son of approximately 10 years. He has used my inheritance to purchase them a new home. In Pine View. 114, Hawthorne Drive. I finished. The silence in the room was absolute. Jerry Mathis leaned forward. He didn't look sympathetic. He looked hungry. "He did what?" he said, a slow, dangerous smile finally appearing. "He didn't just hide assets, Mrs. Thorne. He committed wire fraud. He didn't just dissipate marital assets, he stole your separate, inherited property. Oh, this is not just a divorce. This is a feast." As he spoke, my phone, which I'd set on the polished, mahogany desk, began to vibrate. A text from Marcus. "Ilara? Where are you?" "I'm home. The house is empty." It buzzed again. "The picture on the mantel is broken. What happened?" And again. "Sarah's not answering her phone. Call me. I'm getting worried." I just watched it buzz. "You have the bank statements?" Jerry asked. I pushed the 9-inch stack across the desk. 10 years' worth. His eyes lit up. "Mrs. Thorne, you've done half my job for me." My phone rang. The screen lit up. Marcus. It rang, loud and shrill in the quiet office. It rang, and rang, and rang. I did not move. It stopped. A new text. "Ilara, I just checked the bank. The checking account is empty. Where is the money? What the hell did you do?" And another. "This isn't funny. You've stolen our money. I'm calling the police." I laughed. It was a short, sharp, ugly sound. "He's calling the police," I said to Jerry. "Let him," Jerry grinned. "They'll laugh him out of the building. He's not the victim here. We are." He steepled his fingers. "Here's what happens now. I file for divorce on your behalf, effective immediately. I file a motion to freeze all known assets, his and yours. I file a motion for discovery, which will allow me to subpoena the fund he supposedly created. I will subpoena his work. I will find every single hidden penny. And I will find her. We will depose her. We will find out exactly how much of your money she's been sleeping on." The phone rang again. "Marcus." "And you, Mrs. Thorne," Jerry said, his eyes on the ringing phone. "You will not answer. You will not talk to him. You will not see him. From this moment on, I am your voice." He wants to talk. He talks to me. Is that clear? I looked at the buzzing phone, at the name of the man I had loved for almost 30 years. The man who had a sun with his eyes. The man who had grilled burgers on the patio of a blue house built from my mother's memories. I reached over. I pressed the decline button. And then, I turned the phone off. He's not scared, I said, my voice cold and clear. He's just angry he got caught. The days that followed were a blur of muted color and sound. I stayed at Sarah's house, in her guest room, which she'd filled with lavender and old, soft quilts. It was my bunker. My phone remained off, locked away in the bottom of my purse. The silence it created was a balm. I knew Marcus would be trying to reach me, that his initial panic would have morphed into a white-hot rage, but for the first time in my life, I didn't have to manage his emotions. I only had to manage my own. Sarah was my shadow, in the best possible way. She didn't crowd me. She just was. She'd bring me coffee in the morning without asking if I was awake. She'd make a simple soup for dinner, and we'd eat on trays, watching old black and white movies. We didn't talk about him much. Not directly. Instead, we talked about our mother. We went through old photo albums, and I finally cried. I cried for my mother, for the woman whose strength I'd inherited but whose legacy I had failed to protect. You didn't fail, Sarah said, her voice fierce, as I wiped my eyes. She would be so proud of you right now. She hated bullies. And you, Ilara, you are finally standing up to the biggest bully of your life. My new life was run by Jerry Mathis. I turned my phone on once a day, only to check for texts from him or my son. The voicemail inbox was full. 128 messages. All from Marcus. I didn't listen to a single one. I just hit delete all. On the third day, Jerry called. Mrs. Thorne, he said. No preamble. He's been served. What happened? I asked, my hand gripping the arm of Sarah's chintz sofa. My process server is a professional. Mr. Thorne, it seems, has been working from his primary residence for the past 2 days, trying to avoid us. My house. He'd been sitting in my house, in my life, waiting for me to come back and explain myself. The arrogance of it was breathtaking. But, Jerry continued, a note of satisfaction in his voice, he had to go to the office eventually. He was served this morning. At 9:15. In the lobby of his building. Right in front of his colleagues. I closed my eyes. I pictured it. Marcus, in his crisp suit, holding his briefcase, that power walk of his. And a man, stepping in front of him. Marcus Thorne. You've been served. The publicness of it. The shame. He, who cared so much about appearances, about his reputation as a solid, reliable, financial wizard. He would be undone. He knows now, I whispered. He knows it's real. He knows, Jerry confirmed. And his phone has been ringing my office off the hook for the last 2 hours. He is irate. He's left 3 messages for me, threatening to sue me for harassment, and you for a lot of things. It's all just noise, Ilara. He's a trapped animal, and he's lashing out. Don't worry. I've already filed the motion for a temporary restraining order, citing financial abuse and dissipation of assets. He won't be allowed near you, your accounts, or your sister's home. Thank you, Jerry. Don't thank me yet. The work is just beginning. Now, there's one more thing. I waited. Your son. Ben. Does he know? The breath in my chest caught. Ben. My sweet, sensitive boy. In all of this, the legal maneuvering, the anger, I hadn't been able to bring myself to do it. No, I said, my voice thick. I don't know how. He's 26, Ilara, Jerry said, his voice surprisingly gentle. He's not a child. And in a contested divorce, which this will be, he may be called on to give a deposition. About what he saw. About his father's character. I thought of Ben's phone call. I thought I saw Dad in Ashwood. He needs to hear it from you, Jerry finished. Not from a summons. Not from him. He was right. I was hiding, not just from Marcus, but from the hardest conversation of my life. That night, I sat on Sarah's porch, the phone feeling like a 50-pound weight in my hand. "You can do this," Sarah said, standing in the doorway. "I'll be right inside." I dialed. He picked up on the second ring. "Mom. Hey. I've been trying to call. I even called Dad's phone, it just goes to voicemail. Is everything okay? Did you guys have a fight?" His voice, so full of love and worry, broke my heart. "Ben, sweetie," I started, and my voice cracked. Mom, what's wrong? You're scaring me. I have to tell you something. And there's no easy way to say it. I'm at Aunt Sarah's." "Okay. Ben, your father and I've filed for divorce." A long, stunned silence. "What? Divorce? What are you? Mom, what are you talking about? You and Dad you're you and Dad. What happened? Was it the house money? Did you guys fight about the money?" "Yes," I said, the tears starting to stream down my face. "It's about the money. But it's about more, Ben." "What do you mean, more?" I took a shaky breath. "Your father, he didn't invest the money from Mama's house, Ben. He stole it." "Mom, stole? That's a crazy word." "He wouldn't, his dad. He used it," I said, my voice gaining a cold clarity as I spoke the facts, "to buy a house. For his other family." I heard him stop breathing. I heard a small, muffled sound, like he'd covered his mouth. "Mom, what did you just say?" "Your father, Ben, has another family. He has a wife. Or a partner. And he has a son. A little boy. He's about 10 years old." I heard a sharp intake of breath. No, Mom, that's not possible. You're mistaken. It's a misunderstanding. "I saw them, Ben," I said, the tears coming faster now, my voice breaking. "I drove there. I saw the house. I saw her. And I saw the little boy. He has your father's eyes, Ben. He has his." He called him Dad. A sob broke from his end of the phone. Not a cry, but a single, sharp sound of absolute devastation. "The restaurant," he whispered. "In Ashwood. The person he was with. It was a woman. I thought I was just seeing things. Oh my God, Mom. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, baby," I wept. "I'm so sorry to tell you this. I'm so sorry. 10 years. Ben's voice was ragged. All this time? While I was in high school? While Grandma was sick? He was, who is he?" "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't know who he is. I thought I did. But I don't." We wept together, mother and son, 200 miles apart, mourning the man we both thought we knew. The man who, it turned out, had never existed at all. "Mom," Ben said, after a long, choked silence. "What do you need?" I'm getting in my car. I'll be there in 3 hours." "No, sweetie. You stay. I'm safe. I'm with Sarah. I needed you to know. From me. He's a monster," Ben said, his voice no longer sad, but low and shaking with a rage I'd never heard from him. "He's a monster." What does he say?" "What? I don't know. I'm not speaking to him. Only the lawyer is. Jerry Mathis." "Good," Ben said. "Good. Don't talk to him, Mom. Don't you dare. He doesn't deserve to hear your voice." I'm going to call him." "No, Ben, please. Don't. It's a legal case. Don't get involved. Please. For me. Let the lawyer handle it. Don't poke the bear. I just need you to be safe. And to know I love you." He was quiet for a moment. I love you, Mom. More than anything. We're going to be okay. You are going to be okay. I'll take care of you. I know, baby, I said, my heart aching with love for him. We'll be okay. We hung up. I sat on the porch, trembling, as the last of the light faded from the sky. I had told my son. I had torn his world apart, just as mine had been. The public consequence, it had landed. A week later, Jerry called again. The restraining order was in place. Marcus had been forced to vacate my house. He had been given 30 minutes, with a police escort, to retrieve his personal belongings. He's out, Jerry said. He's staying at a hotel downtown, according to my server. Now, for the real news. Go on. I was stronger now. The call with Ben had solidified something in me. I was no longer just a victim. I was a mother, protecting her son. My forensic accountant is a genius, Jerry said. The fund. It doesn't exist. It was a complete fabrication. He moved the $412,000 from your joint savings to a shell account in Delaware. From there, he made a single, lump sum wire transfer. I held my breath. He paid for the house in Pineview, Ilara. In cash. All of it. He bought it outright. $389,000. I felt sick. But here's the part that will interest you, Jerry said, his voice sharp. He didn't put the house in his name. What? No. He's not that stupid. He's a financial planner, he knows how to hide assets. He put the deed in her name. So it's hers. The money's gone. My mother's money is just hers. The panic was rising again, hot and fast. Calm down, Jerry said. You're getting ahead of me. He put the deed in her name. Her name, by the way, is Jenna Robinson. Age 39. She's a freelance yoga instructor. And, according to the birth certificate we pulled, so is her son, Leo Robinson. Father, blank. He let that sink in. But he was stupid, Ilara, Jerry said. Because he was the one who wired the money. He was the one who signed the transfer documents. He paid for an asset, in full, and put it in someone else's name, all while he was still married to you. That, Mrs. Thorne, is the definition of financial dissipation. It's a fraudulent conveyance. And in this state, it means, we can get it back. How? We're going to sue her. Suing her. Suing Jenna Robinson. The words echoed in my head as Sarah and I drove away from Jerry's office. It wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about her. The woman in the yellow sundress, the woman who had wrapped her arms around my husband, the woman who was living in a house built from my mother's love. He's right, Sarah said, her voice a low growl. You don't just let her keep it. You don't let them win. You burn it all down, Ilara. You take back the ashes. It's not even about the money, Sarah, I said, my voice quiet. I was looking out the window, at the people on the street, all of them living their normal, oblivious lives. It's the house. She's making dinner in my mother's kitchen. She's putting her son to bed in a room paid for by my family's history. I know, Sarah said, reaching over and squeezing my knee. And that's why we're going to get it back. Not the bricks. The justice. The legal machine, once it started, was a slow, grinding, impersonal thing. It was nothing like the high-stakes, tearful confessions you see on television. It was paperwork. Endless paperwork. I moved out of Sarah's house a week later. I couldn't lean on her forever, and I couldn't breathe in her guest room. I needed my own walls. I used the $24,000 I'd taken, my money, I reminded myself, part of the marital assets I was entitled to, and I rented a small, clean, second-floor apartment. It was in a part of town I didn't know, a place with no memories. It had white walls, beige carpet, and a tiny balcony that overlooked a parking lot. It smelled of fresh paint and industrial cleaning fluid. And it was the safest I had felt in months. It was mine. The first thing I bought was a new coffee pot and a single, blue mug. I sat on my little balcony in the mornings, drinking my coffee, and I would read. Not novels, but the files Jerry Mathis sent me. Discovery. That's what they called it. It was an avalanche of paper. I saw 10 years of my life, reduced to line items. 10 years of his life. I saw the credit card statements I'd never been allowed to see. The Gilded Lily wasn't a one-time thing. It was a monthly client dinner. There were jewelry store receipts. Victoria's Secret. A down payment on a car, a brand new, safe SUV for her to drive their son in. There were payments to a private school. His son. My money. I saw the wire transfer. The $412,000. My mother's legacy, leaving my life. And I saw the purchase agreement. $389,000. 4114, Hawthorne Drive. Paid in full. Buyer, Jenna Robinson. I didn't cry. I was past tears. I was a geologist, studying rock. I was looking at the facts. And with every page, a cold, hard, necessary anger built in me, like a layer of stone. My son, Ben, called me every single night. How are you, Mom? I'm okay, baby. Did he? No, I haven't heard from him. Just the lawyers. Good, Ben would say, his voice tight. I changed my number, Mom. He kept leaving me messages. Calling me. Saying you were crazy. That you'd stolen his money and you were hysterical. Oh, Ben. Don't. It's fine. I blocked him. I told him I never wanted to speak to him again. I told him he didn't have a son anymore. And then I hung up. My heart broke for him. For the good, loyal man I had raised. This was the other, deeper theft. Marcus hadn't just stolen my money. He'd stolen my son's father. 4 months went by. The leaves on the trees outside my parking lot turned from green to a fiery, angry red, then dropped. Winter came. It was cold. Then, Jerry called. Ilara. It's time. Time for what? I asked. I was making soup. The simple, domestic act felt grounding. The deposition. Hers. We've filed the civil suit against Jenna Robinson for fraudulent conveyance. Her lawyer has fought it, but the judge has compelled her testimony. Next Tuesday. 10 a.m. My office. My hand, holding the wooden spoon, froze. She'll be here, he said. In the same building as you. Will he be there? I whispered. His lawyer will be. Marcus, he's not a party to this suit, but he's been subpoenaed as a witness. So, yes. He'll be there. I closed my eyes. The two of them. Together. In a room. With me. Ilara, Jerry said, his voice sharp. You don't have to come. It's not your deposition. I'll handle it. It's going to be brutal. I don't advise it. I'll be there, I said. Ilara. I'll be there, Jerry. My voice was quiet, but it was not weak. I need to see her. I need her to see me. I'm not the crazy, hysterical wife he's been painting me as. I'm the woman whose money she's been living on. I'll be there. There was a pause. Then, I heard him smile, a dry, approving sound. 10 a.m., Mrs. Thorne. Wear your good trousers. That Tuesday morning, I woke up before the dawn. I put on the black trousers. The silk blouse. My mother's silver locket. I pulled my hair back into a sleek, severe bun. I put on a touch of lipstick, a shade Sarah had called warrior red. When I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the grieving daughter. I didn't see the betrayed wife. I saw a stranger. A woman I was only just getting to know. And I was proud of her. I walked into Jerry's office building at 9:45 a.m. The lobby was warm, the air still. I rode the elevator up, my heart a small, hard bird in my chest. Jerry met me. You came. I said I would. Good, he nodded. Now, the rules. You will not speak. You will not make a sound. You will not react. You will sit next to me, and you will be a portrait of calm, righteous anger. You are here as the injured party, and your very presence is a statement. Let me be the voice. Understood. Understood. He led me into the conference room. It was long, with a polished table that reflected the cold, grey light from the 20th floor window. A court reporter was setting up her machine. And he was already there. Marcus. He was sitting at the far end of the table, next to a slick-looking man who must have been his lawyer. My breath hitched. He looked terrible. He wasn't the vibrant, happy man in the jeans and green t-shirt. He wasn't the powerful, suited man who had kissed me goodbye. He looked grey. His skin was sallow. He'd lost weight. There were deep, dark circles under his eyes. His suit, his power suit, looked too big for him. He looked hunted. His head was down. He was scribbling on a legal pad. He looked up as we walked in. His eyes met mine. I saw it all. The shock. The recognition. And then, the flash of pure, unadulterated hatred. He was looking at me like I was the one who had betrayed him. I did not look away. I did not flinch. I just held his gaze, my face a mask of polite, cold indifference. He was the first to look away. He turned to his lawyer and whispered something, his face flushed with anger. Ah, Marcus, Jerry said, his voice booming in the quiet room. So glad you could make it. Ilara, this seat. Right here. I sat down, directly across from him. There were 20 feet of polished wood between us, but it felt like a battlefield. That winter was the longest of my life. It was also, I think, the most important. While Jerry and his team waged a war of paper and law, I learned to be alone. I sat in my small, beige apartment, and I watched the snow fall over the parking lot. At first, the silence was a punishment. It was the sound of my failure, the sound of my emptiness. But slowly, it changed. I started to fill it. I bought a kettle that whistled. I bought a soft, wool blanket, the color of a spring sky. I went back to the library. My old volunteer job. I had been terrified to return. I thought people would look at me. The woman whose husband. But they didn't. Or if they did it with kindness. The library was my sanctuary. The smell of old paper and wood polish, it was a different kind of home. It was a place that didn't hold any ghosts. I found a new rhythm. Coffee in my blue mug. A long walk, even in the cold. My shift at the library. Soup for dinner, eaten while reading a book. My life was small. But it was mine. There were no lies in it. The calls with Ben were my lifeline. He was healing, too. We were healing together. He told me about a new project at work. He told me about a woman he'd met, a potter, who had a kind laugh. He was building his own life, separate from the wreckage his father had left. The legal battle ended, not with a bang, but with a series of very expensive, very final signatures. It was spring. The grey snow had melted, and tiny, brave green shoots were pushing up in the flower beds by my apartment building. I was in Jerry's office, the sun streaming in. Well, Ilara, he said, pushing a thick stack of papers toward me. It's done. I looked at him. We won, he said, that hungry shark's smile finally looking kind. In both cases. The divorce is finalized. Irreconcilable differences, with a heavy stipulation of financial malfeasance. His ruined. What does that mean? It means, Jerry said, that his firm encouraged his early retirement the second the fraud suit became public. It means his reputation as a financial planner is, well, it's non-existent. He tried to fight for the house, for your house. The judge laughed him out of court. The house is yours. The contents are yours. His pension, we got half. He is a man without a portfolio. I felt nothing. No joy. No satisfaction. Just a quiet, sad finality. He had built a house of lies, and it had collapsed on top of him. And the other one? I asked, my voice quiet. The suit against Ms. Robinson. That, Jerry said, was even more decisive. The judge ruled it a clear, textbook case of fraudulent conveyance. The purchase of 114 Hawthorne Drive was, in the eyes of the law, an attempt to defraud a spouse of her rightful, separate property. The court ordered the house to be sold. I pictured the blue house. The yellow pansies. Sold, I repeated. It's already in receivership. It'll be on the market by Monday. Once it sells, the proceeds, every single penny, will be returned to you. The court has awarded you the full amount, plus damages, plus legal fees. Your mother's legacy, Elara, it's coming home. I sat there, the sunlight warm on my hands. I should have been celebrating. I should have been. I don't know. Relieved. But all I could think about was the woman. Jenna. And the little boy. Leo. What happens to them? I asked. Jerry shrugged. Not your problem. They'll have to vacate. She was complicit in the fraud, whether she knew it or not. She lived on stolen money. That's the consequence. I thought of her face. The terror in her eyes when she'd looked at me. He said she was emotionally unstable. She wasn't a mastermind. She was a different kind of fool. Another woman who had believed his lies. And the boy. The little boy with Marcus's eyes. He was 10. He was innocent. He was the only innocent person in this entire, terrible story. Jerry, I said, my voice firm. I want to do something. He raised an eyebrow. The money from the sale of that house, the blue house. It's tainted. I don't want it. Not all of it. Elara, that's your money. It's your mother's. I know. But I can't. I can't be the reason that little boy is on the street. I can't. That makes me him. Jerry was quiet, studying me. I want you to take, I don't know, $50,000 from the proceeds. And I want you to put it in a trust. An educational trust. For him. For Leo Robinson. And I want it to be anonymous. Completely. I don't want her, or him, or anyone, to ever know it came from me. Can you do that? Jerry Mathis, the shark, looked at me for a long, long time. And then he did something I'd never seen him do. He smiled. A real, genuine smile. Mrs. Thorne, he said, his voice soft. It would be my absolute privilege. That afternoon, I walked back to my empty apartment. I put the key in the lock, and I stepped inside. I had done it. It was over. I poured myself a glass of water, and I walked out onto my tiny balcony. I looked at the parking lot. But I didn't see the asphalt. I saw my mother. I saw her in her kitchen, her hands dusted with flour. I saw her teaching me to read on the old floral armchair. I heard her voice. Dignity, Elara. You can lose almost anything. But you don't ever let someone take your dignity. He hadn't. He had taken my trust. He had taken my money. He had taken 27 years. But I had kept my dignity. And in that final act, in giving a piece of my stolen legacy to an innocent child, I had finally, fully, taken it back. I sold the house. My house. The one Marcus and I had shared. I sold it, and all the ghosts with it. I sold the furniture, the photos, the life I had lived. With the settlement, and the money from the sale, I had a future. I found a small cottage. It's 2 towns over, not far from where my mother's house used to be. But this one, it's all mine. It has a small, unruly garden. This morning, I was out there, in the dirt. I was planting lavender. The smell, it was the same. The scent of my mother, of my childhood. But it wasn't a memory of loss. It was just lavender. My phone rang. It was Ben. "Hey, Mom. Just checking in. Are we still on for dinner? I'm bringing Lisa. She's excited to meet you." "I'm excited, too, baby," I said, smiling, my hands covered in soil. "I'll make your favorite." I hung up. I looked at my new, small home. At the lavender bushes, just beginning to take root. The betrayal, it will always be a part of my story. It's a deep, dark scar, and it will never truly fade. But it's not the whole story. It's not the end of my story. Marcus. I heard he'd moved. Far away. I don't know where. I don't care. He's a ghost. A thin, powerless ghost. My life is finally real. It's small, and it's quiet, and it's mine. And it's good. Thank you for walking with me through this fire. A story like this, it leaves a mark. Not just on the person who lives it, but on those who hear it, too. Betrayal is a deep, dark, cold place. It feels like an ending. It feels like the world, as you know it, has stopped spinning. And for a time, it does. But what I've learned, and what I hope you see in my story, is that we are not defined by what is done to us. We are not the betrayal. We are not the lie. We are not the pain. We are defined by what we do next. By that first, shaky breath we take after the world has fallen apart. He took my past, and he tried to build a house with it. But he forgot that a house built on lies has no foundation. It will always collapse. I learned that dignity is not something anyone can give to you or take from you. It is something you choose. You choose it when you get out of bed on the day you feel you cannot. You choose it when you decide to fight back, not with his kind of cruelty, but with your own kind of strength. And you choose it when you decide to let go, not for their sake, but for yours. I had to find my way back, not just to my money, but to myself. And I found her, in a small, quiet apartment, in the smell of library books, and in the peace of knowing that no one in my life is lying to me. But I have to ask you, as you've sat here and listened so patiently, would you have done what I did at the end? When it came to the money, to that little boy, the innocent child in that blue house. Could you have found it in your heart to show him a kindness that his father never knew? Or would you have taken back every last penny, and felt that justice was finally, fully, served? I'd truly love to know what you think. Tell me your wisdom in the comments below. This community, this place right here, it's a safe place to share. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you'd like to hear more stories, from all of us, I hope you'll join our family, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Be kind to yourselves, and be safe.